1 in 4 adults over 40 is taking a statin, and almost none of them have been told what that drug does inside the brain. I'm not here to scare you off your medications. I'm here to show you the actual research, explain the real mechanism, and give you the exact questions to ask your own doctor. You've been told that cholesterol is the enemy and lower is always better. The internet says statins are poisoning your brain. The peer-reviewed science is more interesting and more useful than either of those, and I'll walk you right to it. My name is Dr. Clarke. I'm a board-certified physical medicine and rehabilitation physician. I'm also a PhD neuroscientist. This is a topic where nuance really matters. Here's the fact that reframes this entire conversation. You've spent your whole life hearing that cholesterol is bad, but your brain is roughly 25% of your body's total cholesterol, and brain tissue itself is almost entirely built from it. Every brain cell membrane is made of cholesterol. All the myelin, the white insulation wrap around your nerve fibers, is mostly cholesterol. Even the hormone your brain makes to repair itself starts as cholesterol. So think of cholesterol like the lumber in a house. You can argue about how much lumber to keep in the yard, but you can't build or repair the house without it. That's the lens a neurochemist brings to this question. Not, is cholesterol good or bad, but what is it actually for? So, if cholesterol is the building material, the obvious next question is, what exactly does a statin do to it? Let me be precise here, because the mechanism is the whole story. A statin works by blocking an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase. That enzyme runs the assembly line in your cells. The cholesterol is one of the products that comes off the end of it. Here's the part most people don't hear. Cholesterol isn't the only thing made on that assembly line. The very same pathway also produces CoQ10, the molecule your cells use to make energy, and a couple of proteins your cells need to build and repair themselves. When you shut down the top of the line to lower cholesterol, you turn down everything downstream of it too. Think of it like shutting off the main water valve to fix one leaky faucet. You stop the leak, but now the shower, the dishwasher, the sprinklers are all off as well. It's a reason to understand what else is connected to that valve. Now, none of that mechanism matters unless it actually shows up in real patients. So let's look at what the research on statins and cognition actually says. Here's the honest picture, and I'm going to give you both sides because that's what credibility requires. On one side, back in 2012, the FDA added a label warning that statins can cause, in their words, generally reversible cognitive side effects. Things like memory loss and confusion. Surveys of patients have reported the same, and in healthy animal studies, high doses of certain statins impaired learning and memory and lowered a brain growth factor called BDNF. On the other side, large systematic reviews have found no consistent evidence that statins cause dementia across the whole population, and for many people, the heart protective benefit is real and important. And here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because some of the newest data on cholesterol itself runs against what most of us were taught. We were taught a simple rule: lower cholesterol, lower risk, every time. But the recent population data complicates the picture in ways that surprised even me. A massive Korean study following nearly 13 million adults found that the total cholesterol range linked to the lowest all-cause mortality, the best odds of staying alive, was around 210 to 249, not under 200. And in adults over 70, lower cholesterol was actually linked to higher stroke mortality, not lower. It gets even stranger. Very high HDL, the so-called good cholesterol, has now been linked in large studies to a higher risk of dementia. The labels of good and bad turn out to be far too simple. It's a bit like calling Einstein a bad student because he flunked one entrance exam, which he did. The label misses the whole picture. None of this means cholesterol doesn't matter to your heart. It means the brain and the heart may not want the exact same number, and that's worth a real conversation. Now, there's one more piece of this research conversation that almost nobody is taught, and it changes how you read every drug headline you ever see. This is the single most useful thing I can teach you about reading medical claims, and it applies far beyond statins. There are two ways to report a benefit: relative risk and absolute risk. Let me show you the difference with a simple example. Say a drug takes your risk of an event from 2 out of 100 down to 1 out of 100. The relative risk reduction is 50%. That sounds enormous, but the absolute risk reduction is just 1%, one fewer person out of 100. Same data, two completely different headlines. Here's a real example. A major analysis found statins' relative risk reduction for stroke was 14%, but the absolute risk reduction was 0.4%. Both numbers are true, but they tell very different stories about how much an individual actually benefits. I'm not telling you that benefit is nothing. For a high-risk patient, it can matter a great deal. I'm telling you that you have the right to know which number your doc is quoting. So let's pull all of this together into the part that actually matters, what you do with it. If you take a statin or you've just been prescribed one, here are the 5 questions to bring to your doctor. This is not a script to argue, it's a script to understand. Write these down. Number 1, what's my absolute risk reduction on this statin? Not the relative number. This turns a scary sounding percentage into something you can actually weigh. 2, given my personal heart risk, am I in a group where the benefit clearly outweighs the trade-offs? A high-risk patient and a low-risk patient are not the same conversation. 3, should I be taking CoQ10 along with a statin? That same pathway that makes cholesterol also makes CoQ10. Many doctors will agree this is reasonable. 4, if I notice memory or word finding changes, what's our plan? The FDA noted cognitive effects are usually reversible, but only if someone is watching for them. 5, what's the right total cholesterol target for me, considering my brain and not just my heart? The number that's best for one organ may not be best for the other. And the most important rule of all, do not stop a prescribed medication on your own. This is a conversation, not a decision you make from your couch. Bring the questions. Let your doctor bring the answers for your specific situation. So let me leave you with the bigger principle, because it's the thing I want you to actually remember. Here's the heart of it. You're not a cholesterol number. You're a whole person with a heart and a brain and a nervous system that all draw on the same chemistry. Remember the orchestra. You can't protect one section of the body by silencing another and call it a symphony. The goal is the whole person playing in tune. Chemistry plus therapy equals function, and the best decisions come from understanding the whole chemistry with a doctor who knows your individual situation. I devoted an entire chapter of my book to cholesterol, the research, the mechanism, and the data behind every claim I made today, with the references right there so you can check my work. It's called Fixing the Broken Brain. If you want the full, careful version of this conversation, the link is in the description. I'm Dr. Lewis Clarke. The brain wants to heal. Let's help it do that.